Welcome back. We turn now to the dark end of the story of an aspiring model who disappeared years ago and was presumed dead. The case haunted Colorado Springs detectives until a surprising source helped solve the case. On a website called Model Mayhem, 19-year-old Cara Nichols described herself as a sexy new blonde in town. And Joel Hollendorfer couldn't resist. Unfortunately for Cara, it would be a fatal encounter.
He strangled a woman to death.
Now True Crime News revealing horrifying details in a murder that took a decade to solve, but finally put a killer behind bars.
He drove her lifeless body to his mother's ranch, wrapped her in numerous bags and duct tape, threw her on top of a dead horse, and threw lime all over her to cover up a crime. That's premeditation, and that is evil.
On that October night, Cara told her family that she was heading to a fashion shoot in Denver.
It's my understanding at the beginning of the investigation that Cara was going to the Denver metro area for a photo shoot, but none of the information led to that being truthful.
The truth? Cara was actually working as an escort. Cara's mom, Julie, says like many teens, Cara had rebellious years in high school, but was trying to turn her life around far from her family home in Chicago.
The last conversation I had with her, I remember trying to encourage her, if not beg her, to come back to us. I just remember wanting so badly to get her back. I think modeling for Cara was a mask, was a way to step into a different identity.
Whether Cara was actually headed to a modeling job was unknown, but her family could have never guessed that evening would lead to devastating heartbreak.
Her friends alerted us that she was not picking up her phone, she was not answering text messages or messages on Facebook or social media, and that's when we became very worried.
Cara's older brother filed a missing persons report at the local sheriff's department, where he felt dismissed from day one.
He was told to just sit tight, that she was an adult, and they didn't want to be needlessly alarmed.
Frustrated, the Nichols family sought help from Michelle Bart of the Women's Coalition Against Violence and Exploitation, a group that shares information on hundreds of missing persons cases.
The family wanted answers. They deserved answers. Their daughter deserved to be looked for. And we took it national.
Cara's parents flew to Colorado Springs to join the search. In Cara's bedroom, they find clues. Her professional makeup case was still there, along with her laptop, a phone charger, and nearly $300. Cara's cell phone records from that night eventually led police to a man named Joel Hollendorfer. He tells police that he and Cara texted but never hooked up that night. Her cell phone data says otherwise, putting her very close to where he lived on his parents' farm. But when investigators search the property using cadaver dogs, they find nothing. With no solid leads, Cara's case quickly grew ice cold.
Imagine being a parent and knowing that their child has disappeared and doesn't know what happened to them, or they've been murdered and don't know what happened to them. That's a loss that you can't fill. So we continue on, we won't stop.
Then, nearly a decade later, and by sheer chance, Hollendorfer is picked up on an unrelated warrant. When police ask him about Cara, he still denies any involvement. But this time, detectives track down his ex-wife, Christina, and she drops a bombshell. Telling them Joel once confessed he accidentally strangled an escort while they were having sex in his car and buried her body in a horse grave on his parents' property, all while married to Christina. An FBI evidence response team again searches the farm, this time focused on a specific spot. And there, 3 feet down, they find a black plastic bag. Inside, a human hand and human remains. It's Cara.
They'll never get over this.
Hollendorfer was charged with second-degree murder, but at his trial, the family grew furious, saying that Cara's character was on trial more than her killers.
The whole entire 2-week trial was all about how she was on a site or how she dressed or the drug use.
A jury saw through that, but only convicted Hollendorfer of the lesser charge of manslaughter. For Cara's parents, it was yet another wound to their scarred hearts. Now, the family vows to make sure this killer serves every minute of his 24-year sentence. And they've called upon police to dig up the rest of his parents' property.
I think if other evidence is discovered about his way of life, that's how he'll be able to never see daylight. That's a monster. That is a sociopath. That is evil.